Okay. Let's see if we are live. All right, according to YouTube, the internet can totally see you now. Okay, so let's see if this is working. So nothing super important planned for this video. This is really just a test of OBS. Make sure I've got it set up and working. All we're going to do is take the code from the last video and refactor one of the functions, specifically this whenIs function. If this doesn't look familiar to you, it was the result of my video about composing booleans. And I'm just going to run through some very casual refactoring just so I have some content and to make sure that I have my streaming service up and running without being really disappointed if it doesn't work. So first thing I see that's wrong with this function is that we have this date object inside, or the date constructor inside of the function. The problem here is that if we go to our call site, we're passing a date string. And yesterday, when I recorded this video, if I passed in 09/16/2017 into whenIs, it gave me today. It gave me this response. But now, of course, if I run it, it's no longer that date. So if I do node run, then instead of today, it tells me it's this month. So I passed in the same value and gotten a different result. And obviously, we don't want that. We want to make sure that everything is referentially transparent and that we get the same value every single time based on the same input. So let's curry this function. Let's just go date for now, and we can remove that. We'll just change today to date. All right. Oops, we can't go date function. I'm going to have to go date now and object. All right, and the reason I'm currying this is because I think it's going to make more sense to be able to partially apply this function so that we can do things like this. So if we make our today down here instead, then we can create a function like, I don't know, compare to today. It's a long name, but I'll go with that. Compare to today. And then that will just equal whenIs with today passed in. So let's just make sure I haven't already broken anything. I'm going to have to change these to compare to today. Still get this month, perfect. And let's do, and the reason I'm keeping this as a date object is I'm thinking it would be nice for whomever decides to use this program, hypothetically, to be able to have a dynamic value that they can assign to today. They'll always know what it is because it's always the current day based on the JavaScript engine. But new date also provides an interface for allowing you to create specific dates. So if I did new date, I think it's year, month, 0 indexed, and date. So if I went yesterday, and then I could create a compare to yesterday. Let's change that to yesterday. See if we get today. All right, so now we're passing in something that says we're going to compare it to yesterday. So no longer are we just using today. So let's change this from being today to same day and same month and same year. And we actually do kind of know when this is. It's just not same year. Next up, I'm noticing that these are all reliant on the order of these ifs and else ifs, which is not fully necessary. So let's just remove these. I'll leave that else. And it really is because of the way that we've constructed our Booleans up here, our composed Booleans. And that's because we have to put is today first, because if all of these are true, if years match, month match, and days match, then we know it is today. And then if any of those isn't correct, it'll pass along to is this month, which if it ends up being that both of these are true, it's because is day was wrong, which means we're still in the same month. And then if either of these are false, then that means that when we get to is year, it was is month that was false. If is year is true, then it'll be is this year. And if they were all false, then it falls through. But as I showed in the last video, we could actually use not and make these entirely independent. And so if we did not is month and not is day, and then we add not is day, now these should be entirely independent. And so no matter what the order is, it should give me the same answer. So this should still tell me today. Same, oh yeah, same, didn't say same day. And now what I've noticed in a lot of my functions where I'm trying to return multiple times, if I have a bunch of if statements followed by returns, it would make a lot more sense to just use the return once and then say what I want to return. And one way I've been doing that is basically with what you could consider a sort of guard syntax borrowed from Haskell and use that in JavaScript. It's not exactly the same, but I think it looks pretty slick. So let's just say return and do is today. Is today. Then it is same day. And then we just put a colon here, and then we can do is this month. And actually, I'll just write it, same month is this year. Same year. Otherwise, not same year. And I think that looks a whole lot better, but we can actually make this a little nicer if we just give it some spaces, line those guys up. And I think that's very easy to read. It makes it very clear what's going on. We're returning one of these guys, and maybe it's confusing initially, but I think it's essentially doing the exact same thing as an if statement. If this, then this. If this, then this. If this, then this. Otherwise this. And it works the same way, but it's far easier, I think, visually to parse. Make sure I haven't broken anything. Same day. Perfect. All right. Next up, let's see. All right, so these probably could be split out into their own function, and we could use destructuring to apply those. So let's do something like let day, month, year. And this will create some nice symmetry with our I month, I day, I year, which actually makes me think we might as well put them in the same order. And this will just be parse date string, oops, date string. And then pass in string. So this would be parse date string. Let's see, this would be an string, obviously. And return numbers. Yes. Parse date string. I'm calling it dates, so I might as well just call it dates again. And we'll just return an array. Oops. Gammon. And I need month to be first. That's important. All right. So now we have some nice looking symmetry between the two. And so it should be very easy to visually parse, saying, all right, we're going to get the month, the date, and the year, and we're going to get the input month, the input date, and the input year. Of course, I am messing this all up and passing in string. We're not parsing date string, are we? That's what this function would be, which is what I would have to call that. So instead, this is going to be parse date object. Oops. And down here, that guy would be our parse date string. So let's write that. Oops. Whoa. And this will just take string. Yeah, we'll just take string, and we will do splits, map, number, okay, let's see if I've broken anything. String is not defined. That's because you have to pass it in as an argument there, buddy. Same day, cool. Okay, so we've taken some of the implementation out of the primary function, which I think creates some nice symmetry between the two different comparisons. We could do something down here where we're creating our booleans. Because if you look at it, what we're really doing is just, if we were to zip these together and then map over them with a equal to function, so if we make a pair out of each of those, an array of pairs, and then just compared each pair, like the first and second in each pair to each other, that would give us our booleans. But realistically, even though that would feel like I was being all clever, I really don't think that would improve readability. It'd probably be nice to be able to look at this function and see where these are coming from. So that's just my 2 cents. I think I would prefer to leave it like that. Again, the reason why I was leaving this as a date string, because you might think, all right, well, why don't we just destructure up here the date and just pass it in something like day, month, year, or whatever. And the reason I didn't want to do that is because it would be nice to be able to offer to the future user of this code base the ability to create a dynamic value for today. And no matter what, sorry if you can probably hear the ambulance there. No matter, it's getting closer. No matter the fact that this is a dynamic value, we can always guarantee that the function will return the same output based on the same input, even if the input is changing each time. So I'm not too worried about the fact that new date is dynamic, because we can always recreate something. Like if I want to pretend that this code ran yesterday, I can pass in 2017-08-16 to get September 16th, 2017, and create my own function out of it. Let's just make sure that some of these are still running. Let's do compare to today. Not same year, perfect. Yesterday. Identifier result has already been declared. Oh, gotta comment that out. Same month. And same year. And just for fun, let's create one more. We will create a that's 716. It's called OG 16. Same day. Perfect. So it's behaving as normal. We've refactored it a little bit just to make it a bit more pure by taking out the date constructor, using it as one of our inputs, currying the function so that we are able to partially apply it and create these handy little utility functions so that we don't have to pass in the same date every single time that we want to reuse it. Use this little guard syntax type thing for the return value, since every time we were just doing an if, return, if, return, if, return, and anything else, just using ternaries. I really think that this is a very slick syntax and would recommend it. Curious to hear your thoughts in the comments. And just, again, made some nice symmetry with our destructuring by parsing the two different inputs in very similar ways so that we can see that they are related in some way. Anyway, this is again just a stream to test out OBS, make sure it's working. If you enjoyed the video, cool, like it, comment, subscribe. I make fairly informative videos most of the time. This is just a casual stream, and I will see you probably next weekend. Have a good one. Bye.